All right, everybody, welcome to the Scho-Zone. It is your host, Ryan Schofield, coming at you from our little virtual studio here in my fine and lovely apartment in Albany, New York. Thank you for tuning in. This one is being recorded on a Friday afternoon. And as I record this for the first time in shit, I don't even know how long it was that the last time the St. Louis Cardinals were a 500 baseball team. I don't know. I don't believe it happened at any point in time this year. If it did, forget about it. But I just remember last year when they had their early struggles, I was kind of thinking it as being like almost like a pregnancy pool as to what day would the Cardinals ever be back to 500. But going into the series against the Phillies this weekend, they are a 500 baseball team, and they got me fully back in. I'm a fan again. I mean, not that I wasn't a fan before, but I'm just always going to be, as I like to always tell people, I'm going to mirror what's on the other side of me. And when the Cardinals were playing as the shit baseball team that they were, when I started really, reviving the content on the Scho-Zone, they were every bit as bad, and I sounded like every bit as shitty of a fan talking as much shit as I did about them. Now then, that they started turning it around a little bit. My last comments about them, I turned it around a little bit. Going 12-3 against the schedule that they did, I can puff my chest out again. It's almost like, I'm not embarrassed to wear this shirt out in public. I actually wore this to the gym earlier because, hey, I can be a Cardinals fan, and now you can't talk as much shit to me as the guys in Philly did. Not that I wasn't agreeing with them about everything that was wrong. The big difference, one thing I said in my very, very first meltdown episode was I want to think of Paul Goldschmidt as the guy who won me $3,000 when he won the MVP. Well, fuck, he looks like that guy right now. It's a major difference when you have an MVP type performer that is playing like a guy who was on his last legs of Major League Baseball and suddenly plays like an MVP again. And I don't want to believe that it has anything to do with the fact that Ollie Marmol got tossed from that game, but it happens to coincide. So who knows? I don't care how. I just care how many. And the guy is finally starting to hit. He's hitting like 300 over this 15 game stretch. And that's the thing, though, is it's easy to get with a baseball team. It's easy to fall in love where things are going well, just as easy as it is to get discouraged when things are going poorly. I need to figure out which team this one is because, again, Goldie, if he is legitimately back and we can bank that one away, that is a major difference maker. He is one of the better hitters in baseball when he is on, or at least he's what I call a baseball player's hitter, where, like, maybe a casual fan is not going to be in love with Paul Goldschmidt, but I especially notice with guys who play baseball, they're enamored with the way that he approaches hitting at the, his, they'll just say he hits pitches in places that you're not just supposed to be able to, just on brute strength. I mean, still a ham and egger softball player, if you want to call it that. I mean, I don't understand how he generates as much torque. I mean, I'm going to swing like a righty now, but it just really seems like it's a very short, compact swing that produces a lot of power, and sometimes even opposite fields. But good on Goldie. Then the other one that, if the team is going to be as good as we thought it was, Nolan Arenado. And this is where I'll get, I, I have a buddy of mine who makes the Cardinals do well when he bets against them. And we maybe, he might go broke one of these years, and the Cardinals win a World Series, but he'll financially despair. I'm using it with my words. I mean, I don't have as much money as this guy does, but I have an audience that I like to put my shit out there for. And the other day, FanDuel does the Dinger Tuesdays. I had, browsing through the odds. This is on the same day when I open up my Cardinals app. I have the Nolan Arenado saying my swing is just not good, which, yeah, that's pretty obvious. I like the self awareness on that one, but you're not really, splitting the atom by telling us that. Basically, the numbers don't lie, and the video almost looked even worse. He has been on a power zap for God knows how long. I know that my buddy had told me that going back to August 20th, he had only had, I think, like 4 home runs of last year. I took it back even further. All of August, from the beginning of August last year until the other night, he had 7 home runs, and it was in like almost 400 plate appearances, which we're talking about 2/3 of a season. So Nolan Arenado, MVP type guy who's signed a big money, when he's giving you not even 15 home run output, that's really going to be a major blow to a team that's constructed the way the Cardinals are. Playing against the Cincinnati Reds, against a pitcher that didn't have great numbers on, he's the odds on favorite, or not the odds on favorite, but, has the shortest odds. He was plus 330 at home run that day. And I'm like, where the fuck are you on getting the balls to put this up on an odds? Are you watching these games? Have you looked at the numbers or anything like that? I normally don't want to say Vegas knows or all these books know, because whenever somebody says that, I can show you 100 examples that it didn't, that they don't know shit. But for him to hit a home run on that given night, and for me to decide to actually make a post about that, it's fucking brilliant, you know? So if they're going to continue to make idiots of us, I'm going to say right now, actually, fuck, when I saw Palante was the fifth starter the other day, didn't think it was anything great. I didn't make any comments about it. I may have made a small wager. I bet over in runs on that game, which is kind of the cop out of when I think the Cardinals might be able to hit, but I don't trust the pitcher on the mound. I'll bet the over in that game. Well, they didn't get the over because fucking Palante shut down the Reds. And if he can actually be the fifth starter, and it's actually going to work that you figure out who your major league pitchers are, because the Mats thing, we can't get him back in the rotation. Just can't happen. I'd rather them go trade and get Dakota Hudson back at this point than the Mats thing, just because we actually paid him some money, not a ton, but any money that we paid him for the Cardinals, who are very tight on the wallets. You know, it's you can't have that be. But you know, it's the way that they're playing right now. It's above and beyond what they started off the year kind of middling. Then there was just that lull, just of absolute awful baseball, which started with me being in the ballpark. Which I'm now at the point that I actually might go see the Cardinals again this year. Part of me starting to go on different baseball games or watching all these different games was because the Cardinals were so bad when I went to watch them. I wanted to actually have joy at a ballpark again, so I went to a game in Philly. Um, I am possibly going to have a friend of mine. You know, I'm on this little. It's like my midlife crisis. Basically, I'm just finding ways to every day I'm not at work, trying to at least once a week make it to a major league city, and make it to a ball game, which is impressive for me because I live 3 hours away from the nearest major league ballparks. So keeping that one going. But I got a buddy of mine that has never been to a ball game. The way that the traveling logistics worked out makes sense for me to get, you know, a pit stop. I was more or less going to see it, you know, as a visiting thing, but also when he says he's never been to a ball game before and wants to go because he's starting to get into it because he started betting on it. There is not all evil on this, but you know, one of the bets he started doing a lot was my Shohei Ohtani daytime over 1.5 total bases. Gets him into it. Suddenly he says, hey, he may want to go to a ball game. So I might be going to see the Cardinals in Pittsburgh. Who knows what team we're going to have there at that point? Can they be, would it shock me if they were 10 games over or 10 games under or anything in between? No idea what we're getting because it's not the guys that we even expected. Like I said, this is supposed to be a team that's carried by Goldie and Arenado. Goldie is finally getting back on there. If Arenado starts hitting, you know, you can start twisting me into some weird Cardinals devil magic shit, where maybe if they actually made a trade or something, who knows? But you know, I didn't know who Michael Ciani was before the season started, and now I'm like, oh, there's a Cardinal player, to the point where we're like, hey, where does Tommy Edman play, kind of thing. Alec Burleson, is it Alex or Alec? I'm getting all these mixed up now. He's you know, he doesn't, nothing sexy, nothing amazing. He strikes me as a guy that I would play softball with, but he's, you know, he's a hitter. He gets hits. That's the end of the day. If a guy gets hits, it's fine by me. Ivan Herrera is the cleanup hitter, which that's actually another thing too. I keep forgetting. Wilson Contreras was carrying this team for the little bit of success they were having prior to his injury. So once they get him back, I mean, that could be a fortified lineup. The pitching still scares me. I mean, it's veteran. It's very veteran. I will say that. I mean, Sonny Gray, I don't know what to think of that last. I mean, he's just scares me. That's just what I get at. I mean, I'm loving it when he's on, but I don't know if I'm really ready to make that full trust as an ace. The Lynn Gibson thing, you know, it is. The bullpen is starting to get out there. You know, it's Jojo Romero again. I don't get that. Have seen him just get. I don't want to say tagged, but it's amazing that I don't fully trust him yet. Helsley's legit, but even the other night, I forget what the hell, you know, it was a ball. One of the games I was watching. I'm watching so much, and I've got so much going on. I'm getting things mixed up. But they just had to do it as the most Cardinal save ever, where just multiple guys got on. I mean, that was even the thing, is that yeah, it was against the Reds. I believe it was the Tuesday night game, but the one that Arenado homered in, where it's just I started buying back in, but yeah, it's fun stuff. It's wild. It's a wild life as a baseball fan. That's why I think that it's a harder sport to root for, because the length of the season, a football fan, I mean, they're just idiots. Just because you break shit, just because you swear, doesn't mean that you are a bigger fan or anything like that. Trust me, I lived with that when I was out in Western New York. Bills fans, they're not as great as everyone thinks they are. Um, I think because the good thing with baseball is that you can move on from game to game, and maybe a problem, you have more reason to be concerned. Like, I mean, it's gotten to be funny to me how you can micro analyze a game. I will look into a game for maybe if I was watching it, maybe I'll give it the post game and think of a couple other things, but nothing really major. But anyways, introduce us to our new friend here, David Eckstein, Heart of a Champion here. David Eckstein and I are about the same size. He just has all the talent and the grit in the world. Me, I'm just still cracking it at the softball level, which I think I fucked up my shoulder again. This is the second scare I've had. So I separated this shoulder when I was or AC. I multiple times have sprained the AC joint, I want to say, but I separated this when I was a junior in high school playing lacrosse. I had an incident a couple of years ago where I took a throw that hit me off the ball of this, and I don't know. I had like about a month stretch. I really couldn't throw a baseball at all. Um, then I could, which whatever. I did hurt this on a slide because it's amazing the guys you watch on TV, it's a really, really hard job. And I play a game maybe once every 2 weeks. It's funny the standard that people will hold you to at this level when it's like, yo, like if I maybe practiced a little bit, I could maybe see there being a reason for, this. But when you haven't done a head first slide in about 10 years, yeah, it's not going to come out pretty. But I kind of jammed my shoulder a little bit, but I was totally fine the rest of that day. I actually had to make a throw that day and everything went fine. I went 2 weeks without doing anything. Yesterday, warming up, it just really it didn't like feel like that. It's like not. I remember before where it's just literally when I went to throw, there just wasn't anything there. This feels like my arm is kind of locked in place and just doesn't want to go back. Which, if anybody has any type of ability to diagnose this shit, let me know what I could do. But like when I go back, this is as far back as it goes, but I can still rip it, and I kind of feel like I'm rolling it off the fingers more. It's not a great throw, but I was able to get these done. I can kind of go 3/4. It doesn't really, it's not so much that it hurts, it's just that it just doesn't feel like it wants to move there. So if anybody knows anything about this, because I am not prepared to stop playing softball. I mean, I'm starting to play first base more, which the irony of this life comes full circle. When I was growing up, my father played softball very competitively, and he was always a first baseman. I never really played catch with my father. Why? Because he had a torn rotator cuff and didn't get surgery to fix it. So he just kind of worked around it. So he started playing first base. Now I'm starting to play first base. And I like it. I like being part of the action. Like I used to like when I played with my men's league team in Rochester. I liked being catcher because we had some guys with some hoses, and I like being engaged in the game and the idea that there's going to be some big throws that are going to come to you. A catcher I really liked because I'm hoping I'm not getting too to my own horn on this one, but I think some of my teammates would agree with me. I could get down a tag pretty fucking good, and that's a pretty valuable asset in a game where in softball the outs are ever more or beer, especially in like beer league slow pitch type. Outs are more valuable than runs for sure at most times of the game. So being able to steal outs on plays like that are huge. I do I mean, like yesterday, the fact that, balls get thrown. I remember a guy that I used to hang out with used to say he hates first baseman because most problems start at first base, which I always thought was an interesting take. But yeah, I'm that's really is one of the sad things is that I really partly want to why I want to move around this country a little bit. I just want to drop off in just a random town somewhere in the South or something like that and jump into a softball league and try to win some people over or something because I kind of feel like that's almost happened for me in the Albany area. Even though I'm from here, I didn't play baseball growing up. I played lacrosse. I mean, I played baseball growing up, but I didn't play at like a competitive level past a certain age. And then I had to come back here and I kind of had to earn my way into teams. And I'm kind of now like I get a little bit of I feel like I get some recognition after a few years. I mean, I'm nothing special. If I had to compare my game to anybody, I'm Luis Arias. Or if you've seen the one of the best movies ever, and I think it would make a greater plot for another movie. The Artie Lang movie, Beer League. Jolton Johnny Trino, like, look, I'm never gonna hit a fucking home run. I still have never hit a ball over the wall, and the second that I try to is when bad shit happens. But can I barrel up a ball and fucking knock it through a hole or knock it over someone's head? Yeah, I can do that. I've pretty sure, and yes, I do keep the stats. I have hit in the 600s multiple seasons, and maybe once or twice even in the 700s. But really curious to see what the Cardinals do for me this weekend. I've had a lot of thoughts that would probably be less than popular to share, but I've kept them off of there. I managed to be positive and Cardinals related. So we'll see what happens. The Cubbies have an afternoon baseball game today. And I think that I'm going to be betting them against the Reds, the Javier Assad guy, who Goldie tagged up pretty well on Sunday. That was actually started off a very, very good week for me that I was waiting very, very heavily invested because my buddy in St. Louis needed to take Assad's under outs 15.5 on the Sunday night game. And when you're putting in a bet for somebody, you can't just not throw in almost as much as they bet in the first place yourself. So absolute blowout winner under 15.5 outs. And it turned out to be 15 outs. And I'm thinking that he's going to lock down the Reds today at a day game in Wrigley. So I'm going to probably be doing that. Probably going to sit in at some poker because I just, I'm really scheduling out the ballpark tour right now. I did something that could be, this could backfire, could be the greatest thing ever. Rather to not skimp out on any expenditures on any of these trips. I just got approved for interest-free credit card, and I don't want to discuss what the credit line on it is. I have 15 months of interest-free, which yeah, so hopefully I have more games like the one I was just at where I make more money than I spent on being there, and I can maybe turn this into a nice little lifestyle of mine because yeah, I would rather do this than what I currently do for my primary paycheck. Anyways, I appreciate I've had a couple of interactions. I know one of them is a friend of mine in real life. Thank you very much, Stefan. But also, Chris G, I appreciate your contact. I'm seeing that people are going back and watching the old videos, and that's why I'm going to start putting in more content. And once I get to more subscribers and I start freeing up some time, I'm going to probably start trying to get some type of a live stream on there. I have plans to have my first, I don't want to say first guest because I did the episode with Jason and Dan on the True Detective a while back, which is completely off brand from what you're watching if you've been watching the sports content here. But it's Cardinals, it's Otani, and it's betting, and it's just following around somebody of the hey, as I kind of go on. I mean, I almost want to start a GoFundMe to maybe help finance my ballpark tours because hey, a lot of people don't have the freedom that I have to do what they want to do. I've got some people that are inspired. I'm trying to get some people to come along with me. I just need to make sure that you're someone that's not going to ruin my good time when I'm out on the road. And I also don't want to be someone that I'm going to ruin your good time when you're out on the road. But thank you for tuning in to the Scho-Zone. I appreciate it. If you could drop a comment, give me a like, and get somebody else to subscribe. Tell a friend, okay? Let's do what we can do. I'll leave you with this tip right here. I believe the Mavericks are going to win the NBA Finals. I think I saw plus 180 on the series price. Book it down. Luka is the best player out there. Let it rock. Peace. I'm out of here.